Who is it? I see somebody. Girl in the mirror. Who is those eyeballs? Is it you? Reveal yourself. Ah, they left. Come on in, guys. Stop scrolling. Stop scrolling. Just stop right here. Come on in. Anybody? Come in, guys. Come on in. Chat with me. Let's get this room filled up. Anybody? Come in, guys. Stop scrolling. Stop. Don't scroll. Come on in. Kick back. You know what? I'm going to try to find a video for you guys. How about that? A Reformers Unanimous video. It's a 10 principles video. I think we're on the 4th principle this week. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I probably just froze. Pardon me. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I'm going to try to find the title of a video. If I disappear, I'll be right back. Hopefully I'm still smiling on the stage. Let's see here. Okay, something's going on here. I'm still there, guys. Still there. Come on in. I'm searching over here. And I will play this video as soon as I find it here. Okay. We're going to be on principle number 4 tonight. So let me get that up, and I'll come back, and I'll hopefully share it for you guys. Okay, here we go. Coming back. All right, gotcha. Nefares Cruz, yes sir. Welcome back from Mexico City. I'm here. I have a video I'd like to play for 12 to 14 minutes. You know what? I don't have it on landscape mode. That might be a problem. You got to tell me. What do you got to tell me? Another story? Another experience? You had a dream. Weird. I had a dream, not about you, but I had one the other night. I was being robbed in my garage, I believe. And I don't really remember much of it, but I remember I caught somebody stealing something out of my garage. And even though I was there, they continued to come back and try to take from me. And that was all I remember. So, tell me. You and me? Okay, cool. Okay. So two other guys in the back of the truck? Okay. Your English is really good, by the way. I mean, no, that means vamos means oh wait wait, but they were okay, sorry, but they were throwing sand at the road. And I said no no vamos, get out of here. Okay, because they spoke Spanish. Okay, I knew all my crew, including you, were North Americans. Okay, were you the boss and we were your employees? Were we working for you? Okay, three people. Come in, come in. Cruz is telling a story. Oh, just a member. Okay, go ahead. Whoever's watching, come in, guys. Cruz is from Mexico City. He's telling me a dream he had about me and him. Butterfly. And they stopped so we could move on and go to the beach to arrest a group of guys. Okay. Okay. I like how you tell the story. You don't fill up the page. You keep moving with short responses. That is the correct way to do that, by the way. I was taught by a hard of hearing lady. I'll tell you that story later. But it was fun knowing I was with you. Cool. Did I have medical experience in the dream? Was I a paramedico? So you arrested them, okay? Or we arrested them. Yeah, I'll have to tell you this story. It's crazy when you're done. I woke up and thought, next time I'll tell them about it. I love it. Uh, I love those kind of dreams. They all make sense. Everything makes sense and it's clear. Well, that's cool. Well, let me tell you, I have to be careful what I say, I think. But it was crazy. This is a true story. I was um, dating, we'll just call it. I was dating at the time. I was, gosh, I must have been in my 30s, I guess. 30s? Yeah. And I was online, um, and I found a chat site, and it turned out to have all the different age groups 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And one of the groups name was the deaf chat group, DEAF, deaf. And I thought, huh, that's interesting. I know a little bit. I just know my alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, LMNOP No, that's R. QRSTUVW. I want to say that's X. I already used that. Whatever X is, Y, and Z. Anyways, yeah, deaf means DEAF. Deaf. Deft is another word. Cruz. DEFT is another word. But deaf is DEAF. Hey, S's. I'm telling a crazy memory that I had, unrelated to medicine and military, not medical. It's okay, crew. No, your English is very good. That's a good question. Don't be afraid to ask. I'm always asking about Spanish because it's muy poquito. So anyways, yeah, it was a deaf chat room. So, it sparked my interest, and I thought, well, I'm not speaking to them, I'm chatting with them. So, well, thank you, S's. Good night. Good night. So, I decided to join in with the chat, and this one lady started. We started, attracted towards each other. We didn't even have webcam. Thank you, S. Thank you. Or praise God for Trump. We didn't have video chat. It was just, chat room and phone call and exchange pictures. And private chat, I think, was also. So we started talking with each other and found out that she was deaf, completely hard of hearing, no hearing. And let me keep my train of thought so the sequence of events. Oh, she started educating me on chat because, don't quote me on this, but chat was developed before we, hearing people, before chat rooms had started, because they were already using chat to communicate with each other because they can't hear each other. So you've heard of TTY or TDF or TDY. It's a method of communication for the deaf community. Back in the day, they did it through the hang-up, dial-up phone. And they had a machine, and you would put the receiver down on the machine, and an operator would receive the call, and she would do if the receiving person, correct, yeah, and they can do video chat as well and text. So the operator was a third person. So it's you, the deaf person, and then the operator in the middle, and then the receiver is either hearing or non-hearing. If they're not hearing, you would text the operator and just tell them, I don't know how that works, but they can just text to each other. And they see the text on their machine, and they talk with each other. If the person, correct, yeah, especially with video chat. So if the receiving person is hearing, hey, Joey, like myself, and the person calling me is hard of hearing or deaf, and she's using a machine, she will type what she wants to say. The operator will use her voice to talk to me. So the operator is like an actor, and they literally will read the text and try to portray or convey what is being written with an actual, like, hello, oh hi, how are you? You know, it's like they become an actor or an actress for the person that is hearing. So, anyways, um, that's what she did when we started talking with each other. She actually would call me, and the operator would tell me that she is on the other line, and um, and she would have you done this before? I said yes or no the first time, and then she would explain to me what is going to happen, and I would talk to her through this operator. So through that, I started learning what she called text etiquette. And there's Cosmo. English or Spanish? Both. Cruz speaks Spanish. I speak English. So anyhow, uh, she started teaching me the etiquette behind chat. And there is an etiquette so that there's less miscommunication between the two parties. For example, the first etiquette she taught me is keep your responses short, like one sentence. If you are continuing your conversation, put dot, dot, dot after your sentence. That means there's more to be said. And then hit enter and submit the sentence. That's so that you're not keeping the person receiving it waiting, as opposed to writing the whole book and filling up the whole page and making the receiver wait minutes upon minutes while you're writing this book. you know. So she said, keep your responses short, just like you did in your story. That was perfect. It keeps me going. I want to know more. Every time you finish, I can tell the story isn't finished. And you just keep posting and you keep posting. So that's, yeah. So that's how you tell a story in text. And then she said, when you are finished with your conversation, hit type done. I think it was done, or there was some abbreviation. I forget. Or go ahead. That's what it was. At the end, say go ahead. And that would tell her to go ahead. It's your turn now to respond. So it was interesting. I learned something from this lady. Oh, you are? Didn't you say your sister was a writer? Or she had her own business? Was it your sister? Is a teacher. Teacher. Okay, okay. English teacher, correct? Yeah, she's an English teacher, I believe. That's what it was. Cool. Yeah, they recommend you keep a notepad and something to write with next to your bed so you can write down. Well, anyways, what was bizarre was we finally organized a time to meet each other, a time and place to meet each other. I was in another state. I was in the state of Oregon, and she was down in the Los Angeles area, California. And I was taking a vacation already to Southern California, where my family is in San Diego. So I was going to not only visit my family, but I was going to meet with her at LAX airport. So I flew to LAX and then I rented a car. Well, she met me at the airport. No problem. I went to a writing thing among your country. Ooh, awesome. Yeah, you'll have to share that with me sometime. Some of your writings. Um, rest in peace. I'm telling a story, RAP, uh, crazy, unrelated to medical um, or military. Um, hold that thought, Cruz. So I arrive at LAX airport and I see her, after I got off the airplane. Actually, I went out to the parking lot and I was looking for her. Went out front of the airport, and I finally see her waving or something. Well, she's with a guy, like a tall. He looks Hispanic as well. She's also Latina, and hold the thought, Cruz. I can't read your story. Let me finish this. So, actually, I don't know if she was Latina. I know the guy she was with Hispanic. I forgot his name. Um, I hopped out of the LAX with a dream and my cardigan. So, anyways, there she was, and she's with a guy, and she didn't tell me that somebody was dropping her off or that she was going to be with somebody. But I approach her and we hugged and I he and she turns and introduces this guy to me and I shake his hand. Well, he's deaf. He doesn't speak, but he does speak with what we call pressured speech. He kind of speaks like this a little bit, but he really can't. He did a good job, but they can't hear themselves speak, so their speech is compromised. So, anyways, she introduces him to me as her boyfriend. And I went, "What?" I looked at him and I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I just shook his hand and I thought, wait a minute. I just flew to LAX to meet this girl, to go on a date with her, to spend the weekend with her. And she introduces me to her boyfriend. And I thought, what the? Her boyfriend? Trump, read my lips. Yeah. No, she does read lips. I'll tell you, just hold that thought. There's more to the story. Um, so she turns and introduces me to her boyfriend. And I thought, well, this is this is uncomfortable. Yeah. And then she said, I asked, "Are you hungry?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's eat breakfast." Your Kiwi mate. Yes, I see you. Did you come in earlier? Did I miss you? Kiwi, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling back. I didn't see you. But I see Kiwi mate. Oh, I do. I got you. I just looked at your profile. Go ahead, Tony. Wait, you just changed your name again. What a wrecked ship. What's a wrecked ship? Sorry. Oh, what's a wrecked ship? Is that what you're asking, Tony? Is that a question? Use your punctuation so I'm not confused. Sorry, I ask you a question. When you finish your disgusting story, I ask you a question. Are you okay, Tony? Are you sober? Hold that thought, brother. Yeah, I didn't quite understand the. I know Tony, and he's confusing me. Yeah. So, anyways, um, I yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, wait. Man, I'm drunk, and Doc is the greatest guy I know. Okay, hold your comments real quick, guys. You're confusing me. So so we go to breakfast at the International House of Pancakes, IHOP, and there was one. It seems like it was close to the airport. I forget. This was many years ago. Hold that thought, Tony. Hold your question. So we go to breakfast together, the three of us, myself, her, and her boyfriend, and then after Kiwi mate is Tony from New Zealand, by the way, Cruz. He's not trolling. He just I'm yeah. Um, so we go to breakfast, and then after breakfast, we go out to the car, and he walks with us, the boyfriend, and on the as we start to depart, she gets her luggage, and we put it in my car in the rent a car, and then they hug, and he says to her, or he says bye to her, and then he turns to me and he says, take good care of her. And I said, I will, I promise. And I waved bye to him, and we turned around and we left. And we got in the car, and we drove down to San Diego. I know. Well, anyways, there's more. It gets wild. It gets even wilder. Just listen. And everything was like okay about this. There wasn't any more conversation. She didn't mention him. She didn't, nothing. Well, speaking of um, reading lips, she was able to also speak to me, kind of with that pressured speech. And she told me, look at me when you talk. And she would take my chin, and she would, let me do it this way. She would take my chin, and she would turn it towards her. And she says, look at me when you speak, because I can read your lips. And I was like, oh, okay. I get it. But it was like a learning curve at the beginning, because we don't realize that sometimes when we speak, we're not looking at the person. We're looking over here, or we're wandering when we're speaking, or something distracts us when we talk. And and so yeah, she turned my head and she said, "Look at me when you speak." And so I had to make a conscious effort to, look right at her and talk to her when I was talking to her. Or if she wasn't looking at me, I would touch her so she would turn and look. And that was normal for her. So anyways, so those were the first two things. She's got a boyfriend, and I'm going to take good care of her. And I need to look at her when I speak. So I was like, okay, this is cool, sort of. So I drove down to San Diego, and we stayed with my sister in San Diego. Oh, okay. Sorry. I am touching the mic. So we go down to my sister's, and she's getting ready to go to a monster truck event at the stadium. At the time, it was the San Diego Stadium. It's now Jack Murphy Stadium. But so no, it gets better, Cruz. so so I introduce her to my sister, and they're in the bathroom getting their hair ready and putting on makeup, and my sister's married, or she was, and so he's getting ready, and we're all going to go down to the stadium together. So we go down to the stadium and we enjoy the monster truck event, and that was cool. I'd never been to one before. And we had a tailgate party, and he has these giant speakers that he puts up out of his he's really into big things. He's got a big truck, a big lifted truck, and big speakers, and he's got a railroad horn on his truck, an actual railroad horn that is powered by compressed gas that he stores in the back of his truck. So anyways, looks like him. She sounds hot. Anyways, Tony, easy, bro. Calma, 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 calma. That means calm, calm down. So we enjoyed the monster truck, and I don't think we stayed at my sister's. We stayed at a hotel, and so we check into the hotel, and we're going to go to dinner. And so we put our, we get situated, and then we go out and we're going to go to dinner. Well, she says it's in her part of, oh, we drive back up to, oh, Presley. No, it was the San Diego Stadium. Oh, I'm sorry. Uh, it was San Diego Stadium. Wait, Jack Murphy. Oh, was that what it was? And now it's Qualcomm. Sorry. You're correct. We always called it the San Diego Stadium. Maybe it was Jack Murphy, the official name. I was born and raised in San Diego, and I'm questioning my own self. I actually lived on the top of the hill up there in Tierra Santa, and we used to walk down the hill and go to the games through the gate. And so anyhow, uh, she wants to she wants to go back up to her part of town, and so we drive back north, and that's where we stayed in this hotel. And we were going out to dinner, and she says, "I want you to come home and meet my family." And I'm like, I think I knew she had children. She has three children. So I go up to we go up to her house, and we pull up, and it's a nice, 2-story with a basement, and it's a full single family home, probably 2,000 square feet, 2-story home. And we go in the door, and if you've ever been with a person that is hard of hearing or deaf, they can't hear things. So they have a lot of light symbols inside their home that tells them when the phone rings, when the doorbell rings, etc. And so when we got there and I walked in the door, there's lights flashing inside the house, and everybody comes out, and she's got a hearing daughter that's a teenager. She's like 17 years old at the time. And her other two kids are preteens. They're like 10 and 12 or something like that. And so I'm walking into her this like established home, hallway, kitchen, dining room, bedrooms, upstairs. And she takes me back to the bedroom area, and she opens the door, and it's dark inside, and she flips on the lights, and this person sits up in bed, and it's a full-grown man, and he's in his t-shirt, and he sits up in bed, and he's in his underwear, and he's all rubbing his eyes, and he's like smiling, and he's waving at me. She says, "I want you to meet my husband." I went, "What?" I said, "You're," I was like, "Oh my gosh," I think my stomach went up to my throat. And he's like, he's waking. No. He wakes up, and he's all wiping his eyeballs and he's trying to focus. I think he reached over and put on his glasses. And I walk over to him and I shake his hand. And she's like, meet my husband. And I couldn't believe it. I met her boyfriend at the airport. And then I met her husband at her home and her 3 kids. And then no, but he's like, and then he went back to sleep and we shut the light off and she closed the door. And then I finally had to ask her, okay, this is different. There's something wrong. First you had a boyfriend, now you have a husband, and now you're out with me. What are you doing? She says, oh, that's normal in the deaf community. And I said, what? Yeah, swinging. Swingers. You've heard of swinging or swingers? According to her at the time, no, I did not me. I'm not the one. I'm just trying to go out with this woman. So, oh, you mean horny because I stayed with her? Well, anyways, get it real. You know, now you sound like my brother. My brother would say that. He actually said that to me about a lady. It's Gary. I, it sounds like she's a prostitute, and that wasn't her. It was another lady. But anyways, so I continue. I went out with her for 2 nights. We stayed in the hotel for 2 nights, and did the whining and dining, and I went to the monster truck event, and we had a great 2 days with each other. And then when I dropped her off, her boyfriend, just like he said, picked her up at the airport when I caught my flight to fly back to Oregon. I never saw her again. I never did. Unbelievable. That was bizarre. Yep. So no, I was looking at the time, Tony. I was unfortunately, yeah, I'd left my first wife and I was single and my tail between my legs and depressed and I knew I wasn't going to stay single and I was looking for somebody. And so that was like one of the first ones on my search. And yeah, it was incredible though. Back to when I was texting her online, she could type. I think she told me she could type nearly 300 words per minute, and she did it with 2 fingers. I watched her in the hotel room on that TTY machine, and she was just like, I was like, oh my gosh. A man needs a woman, period. Exactly. Well, most do. Yeah. Most biological men do. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, it was weird. That was the most bizarre. I mean, didn't that sound bizarre just hearing the story? It's like unbelievable. I had breakfast with her boyfriend and I met her husband and she woke him up in the middle of his sleep. Oh my gosh. Oh, and her children. Marry as soon as possible. Well, that's a good. I'm glad you said that, Cruz. And teach them to work. Um, no, I like the part about marry as soon as possible. Absolutely. If I knew now what I if I knew then what I know now, I would do the same. Yeah. Because we all know what happens when, a man and a woman get together and spends enough time with each other alone, it's inevitable. And but I like the part about if you find a good woman, marry her as soon as possible, and then make kids and teach them, teach the children, et cetera, et cetera. And patted the dog on the way out. Good boy. And then out the door I went. Oh no! Did you pat the dog on the way? You just read my mind. Uh, well, just to let you know, she wasn't a dog. She was quite attractive, actually. Cosmo. I'm sorry. Yeah. So back to was it Cosmo? Are you the one that had a question, or was that Presley? Oh, looking for love in all the wrong places. Let me read back here. Um, you are unbelievable. uh, we have tons of stuff to talk. The movie Wise Wide Shut. She was a horror dude. Get it real. Oh, anyways, so if anybody else had something to say and I was busy talking, Doc, I'm going viral. Seriously, Tony, are you or? Oh, you're Rio. Oh, got you, got you. The OG. Oh, that's pretty gnarly, Tony. No. Don't leave shoes under the bed. Oh, there's Don. Oh no. The man is in the house. The Marine is in the house. Guys, it's going to get wild. I got to keep it tame here or Don will get out of control. He's so funny. So you're actually watching and listening, Don? Oh, Don, meet Kiwi. His name's Tony. He's from New Zealand. And did you meet him already, um, uh, Don? And Cruz or Nesfera Cruz is from Mexico City or in Mexico City. Yeah, I was reading earlier that you ran a comedy channel. I thought you were running a like evangelist channel, Tony. No? Doc, I'm broadcasting me trolling you to 2 million subs on Twink now. Just saying. Oh, cool. And that's going viral? Are you really? That's cool. Do you get does uh Twitch um flag you for using others' contents like um like YouTube does? You know, I thought about that when I said that, Don. When I introduced you, I figured, you know what? He's going to connect with him through rugby. Yep. Yeah, Twink Watch. I know. Don, stop it. Uh, oh no. I told you. Don's in the house. Hold on. then they want you to withhold treatment. Oh my God. You have a disease, dude, called lame. Hold on a second. I'm getting hot. I'm smiling the whole time I'm walking. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Uh, now Farge has names called Twink Watch. Oh, I can tell you another. I'm not gonna. I can't believe it. I'm supposed to be telling medical stories, and now you guys got me thinking of. Well, this is medical related. Hey, there we go. See, I'm thinking it's an inappropriate uh, subject, and it kind of is, but it's part of medicine, so this is real. This might as well bring it up. Um, I was up in Delano, California, small agricultural cultural town on I-99. Excuse me, going north south in the middle of the San Joaquin Valley, a big agricultural mecca of the United States. It's like 100 miles wide and 400 miles north to south. That's the San Joaquin Valley. And anyways, um, they had contracts to prisons around Delano. One in McFarland, another one in Tulare. That's the name of the town north of Delano, Tulare, Tulare. And they had a max prison in Tulare. And we had a contract with them. You know, people are people, whether they're in prison or in their house or in a shopping mart or at a football game. People have medical problems when they're in prison as well. So, um, hospitals have contracts with prisons, and they dedicate a floor normally for prisoners, and it's secure, and they provide security and prison guards, and I should say uh, what do they call them, COs in the prison system. They're correctional officers. Um, anyways, so we responded to this max prison in Tulare, and it's a routine that you have to go through to get in the prison. You drive your ambulance up to the gate. You let them know you're there. They open the gate. You come in. They close the gate. A security guard comes over. He looks with the mirror underneath your ambulance, and looks in the doors, make sure nobody's other than you guys are in there, and then you go through another gate, and then they lock it, and then the guy up in the tower lowers a key, I think, or something down in a bucket, and the security guard takes it, and then he puts it in the lock and opens it, and another gate is open, and you drive through that. It's quite the ordeal just getting into this max prison. See you, Tony. Um, yeah, don't take Tony's any thing personal. He's I don't even know if he's sober. Um, out of nowhere. Did you ever have a combustion, dude? Out of nowhere. So, anyways, all right, Don. See you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Um, so I get into this prison, or we get into this prison, and we're doing a transfer. We already know that we're going to be transferring this sick inmate to the hospital for his checkup or whatever it is he's dealing with, whether it was a disease or injury or illness, I forget. And We get in the prison, and it's again, hurry up and wait. We get our gurney out, and we go in, and we're pretty much just sitting there waiting for them to get the prisoner out of his cell, and he's walking and talking, and he's an older guy, like in his 50s or 60s. And they bring him in, and he's chained, in his hands and his legs, and so he sits down, and he's in an orange jumpsuit, and he lays down in our gurney, and we're pretty much just giving him a ride to the hospital. So we sit down, he sits down, and I had some really bad gas at the time. I couldn't hold it any longer. So I just ripped it. I looked around, and there's nothing but male correctional officers and an inmate and other guys. There are females in the prison, but there weren't any around at the time. So I just ripped one, and everybody just backed away. And they're, everything guys do when somebody rips one. And everybody clears out. And the prisoner, of course, he can't go anywhere. And he's sitting right on his gurney, and he looks up at me, and he goes, "Sounds like you're a virgin." And I said, "Huh?" He goes, "Sounds like a virgin to me." And I thought about it. I'm like, "Oh, dude." I said, "You're sick." And he's like, "What?" And I said, "I can't believe you just said that." And he's like, "It's what?" It's like normal to him. I know. Oh no. And then he went on to explain, in detail things that they know and they talk about, and how they smuggle stuff up in themselves when they, from point A to point B. And oh my gosh. And so I was like, "Oh my Lord, I'm in a vulnerable place in a prison." So that was my virgin story. That was the first time I was asked if I was a virgin, or pretty much. And I was like, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am, and I'm going to stay that way." Yeah, so uh that was just a part of my medical career. So that story I haven't told in God knows how long. What a crazy I was told, "Be bold." Yeah. And the guards, they're just shaking it off like, "Hey, that's," I think one of them said, "Well, you are a virgin in a sense into this prison system." He said that stuff goes on. That's normal business around prison. Oh, and that transfer, most of them are uneventful. We just do exactly what I just said. He's got some illness, that he's dealing with, and he takes medications for, and he needs to, just like anybody else, they either get a checkup there in the prison, or they end up getting admitted in the hospital, and they take care of him at the hospital till he's better, and then they release him. An ambulance will come and pick them up if needed, if they need an ambulance, which most of the time they don't, and or they'll send a prison van, and they'll, you know, put him in the van and then drive him back. We did get escorted out of the prison because we had a prisoner. We had a guard vehicle in the front and one in the rear, and they escorted us all the way there with three vehicles in a trio in a line, and they never left our bumper. There was somebody glued at our rear end, and we were told to, follow a certain distance away from the vehicle in front of us. And that's the way we went, all the way to the hospital. And then if we transferred back, we'd be escorted back the same way. Yeah, it was. Did I tell you, Cruz, the story about the Men in Black experience that I had in emergency medicine? Since we're on the subject of correctional officers and security and police. I'll tell you that one. That was way cool. Who else? We got two sets of eyeballs. Is that you, affectionate butterfly in the background? What about the Men in Black story? No, it's way cool. It's something um, we had no idea what we were responding to. And then when we got there, it was a flight. I'll tell you the story. Um, I was a flight paramedic. We had two quarters, one in El Centro, California, and the other further north in, my goodness, what was the name of that town? Small, hot, a screaming hot town out in the Mojave or the deserts of East Central California. Um, hey, there he is, Don. So, uh, yeah, we had quarters that we would stay in. We usually did like 72-hour shifts. We'd stay there 3 days or more sometimes. If you had that much time off, some people actually spent the whole week working, and they lived in this apartment, and or we lived in this apartment, and we flew in fixed wing aircraft, Cessna and a Mitsubishi turboprop. The turboprop was stationed in Mexicali. Mexicali? Yeah, I believe so. And the Cessna was there in El Centro. And the closest was the El Centro airport. Occasionally, when we flew into Mexico, we did have a couple flights down into Acapulco, one and some other place south of Texas, and I forget what that was. But if we were flying down into Mexico, we would use the Mitsubishi. So this was a response into San Diego, which is a 2 hour or whatever it is, an hour flight or half an hour, whatever it was. I'm going to say an hour. And we would fly into, I was a paramedic on board the fixed wing, and I worked with a nurse. So there was usually three of us, the pilot, a nurse, and myself. And there was two seats in the back with a gurney, which were seats were taken out, and then they had an ambulance gurney platform where those seats were taken out. So it was the pilot, co-pilot seat. There wasn't a co-pilot, and then two of us in the back with the patient. So anyhow, the sequence of events is, they have a central corporate office, and it was located in San Diego at Montgomery Field, as a matter of fact, we were talking about this before, Don, near 94th Aero Squadron. Remember the restaurant I was talking about? That airport, Montgomery Field. And so that's where their corporate office was. And they would get phone calls from people from all over the United States and all over the world sometimes. And they were U.S. travelers getting sick or injured in foreign countries. And then they need to get back to the U.S., but they can't go by ground, obviously. And it's too long. If they're on a cruise ship, it's going to take too long to get them back. So the quickest way and the most expensive way is to fly them back. So they would call an air ambulance. Yeah, an air ambulance company in the United States. And we were one of them. It was called See if I can remember the name of my own company I work for. Aerostat, Aerostat. And they would get the call, and in this case, it was a an injured uh, teenager in San Diego, one of the hospitals in San Diego, and she needed further higher level of care. She needed surgery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at Cooper Hospital. As a matter of fact, I live an hour from Cooper Hospital now. Who would have known? Um, so they would get the call and they would arrange a flight for this patient, a long distance cross country flight. And then they would call us and say, hey, we got a call for you guys. And it's obviously not a 911 response because that's handled by ground or helicopter. Well, we're not a helicopter. We're fixed wing, and we can't land anywhere. We got to land at an airport. So we get the call and get the details where we were going to go to pick up the patient. We get the airport and the hospital. So now we got to take a flight into San Diego. So we would get our bags out of our apartment, all of our emergency equipment, the monitor, the medical bag, all of the gear. And we have a company vehicle there at the apartment, and we would load up the company vehicle and we would drive to the airport where the Cessna is waiting us. Because it's screaming hot 100 plus degrees out there at El Centro Air Station area where the Blue Angels perform out of. Lil, welcome back. They would have to cool the airplane down before we got there. So they actually had these giant air conditioning tubes, like 3 foot diameter tubes that would, and it was a company, an air conditioning company, and they would put these. It was like these dryer hose, the spiral vent tubing for the dryers, but it was humongous, like 3 feet in diameter, and they would hook that. They would butt that up against the door of the aircraft. They even do the same thing with commercial aircraft, I've been told, because it takes too long to cool those things down when they've been in the heat. So they'll hire a company that goes up there and it attaches this big air conditioning system and it cranks air into this cabin and it cools the whole airplane down while it's warming up and running, their own air conditioning. So that's what it does before we arrive. And then when we arrive, they hopefully have cooled the plane down by that time and they're out of the way. And we go up the steps, we offload all of our equipment. And then once we get on board, we button up and then we get ready to fly and we fly to San Diego. So that's what we know. We're going to be transporting a young girl or younger girl, a teenager, who was apparently involved in a motor vehicle accident. She had some extensive torso damage to her midsection, is what we found out eventually. And she was going to have surgery on the East Coast. So we're going to pick her up and give her a long distance 8-hour flight, back to Philadelphia. And that was a first for me. I had never flown that far before. So we get to the airport and the electronics get so hot they can't regulate themselves for the specs. Is that right? I'm not sure, Don. But I know human beings can't survive inside these cabins with it that hot. So it needs to be cooled down. That was the whole purpose of the air conditioning, was just to cool the cabin down so we wouldn't melt. So we get to San Diego and we land at Montgomery Field, and on the way in, we're doing our pattern, and we're coming in, and I can see on the tarmac there is here's the normal sequence of events just to kind of catch up. In order for us to get from the airport to a hospital, we can't drive our
our airplane there, and we can't fly our airplane to the hospital. We have to leave the airplane at the airport, and a local ambulance crew, usually a basic life support ambulance, is called BLS, as opposed to ALS, it's advanced life support. Advanced life support are paramedics, if you didn't already know. And then they have basic life support, which are EMT. They're usually basics, EMTBs. Paramedics are EMTPs. So a paramedic is not normally responding to something like this unless it's at a care level above a basic life support ambulance, and then a paramedic is called. But normally these patients that we're transporting, we're just giving what we call an expensive medical taxi ride, EMT, badoom, psh, ride to from point A to point B, or from point B back to point A. In our case, we're going from the airport to the hospital. So a basic life support ambulance will pick us up there. They'll meet us at the airport. Excuse me. And then we take our equipment off the airplane, we put it in the ambulance, we climb into the back of the ambulance while the driver and his partner gives us a nice ride to the hospital. Right? So just picture that. So we land at San Diego. While we're landing, I can see on the tarmac there's like usually the ambulance has his lights on. That's like standard protocol for visibility purposes. Whenever any car is on the tarmac, they want to have some kind of lights on, either flashing yellows, or if it's an emergency vehicle, you just put all your lights on. You don't need lights and sirens, just lights, just for visibility purposes. So I can see the ambulance down on the tarmac, and he's got his lights on, but there's other vehicles, like a line of them, and they're all black. I can tell after we get lower, they're SUVs. And we're like, whoa, what's going on down there? And it's like we're trying to figure out, is that for us, or what? Did they have an accident? What's going on down in the airport? So we land and we eventually get out, and we're like getting out now. We're deboarding right there. I know, get to the MIBs. So we're deboarding right there. The stairs are like right there in the, there's like SUVs all around us, and there's an ambulance right in the middle. And the crew's coming out, and they're coming and they're helping us with our gear, and they're loading up the ambulance. And then we got guys, coming with their shades on, and with their vet. I mean, they're either, I don't know if they were concealed or not, but they're in their black suits, and they're coming out of their SUVs. And I thought, what the? And they introduced themselves, and they're CIA. And I was like, whoa, really? So what are we doing? What's the deal? What are you guys here for? They said, well, the patient is the daughter of one of ours. And her dad, unfortunately, was killed in a motor vehicle accident that she was in with her. And she survived. And she had some extensive damage to her torso, musculature. I was assuming, I think I remember, stomach, abdomen, muscles ripped and needed repair, and so on. So it's like they're there to give her the VIP treatment. And so on the way to the hospital to pick her up, a silver dildo, and did you see a bright flash? No, I remember it. I can't even. Now that you say that, I remember they hold up and it goes poof. That's right, and all my memory is gone. Right, or we freeze in action, and then there's lost time. Yeah, no, none of that. And so on the way to the hospital, they gave us the VIP treatment all the way to the hospital. Whenever we got to a stoplight, they had vehicles already ahead of them and behind us. And they were blocking traffic, and they were whoop, 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 whoop. And they blocked traffic right and left while we just went through. And they had motorcycle cops, and they're like stopping everybody. I was like, oh my gosh. So we went all the way to the hospital that way. I think we went to UCSD Medical Center. It's a large trauma center teaching hospital there in San Diego. Yeah, memory gone. No, it's good. And then, so then when we picked her up and we transferred, she was wide awake and she was in good spirits. She was just, a little incapacitated and had a torso brace on, and just very, one of those be careful type transfers, and get her over to our gurney and then wheel the gurney. And the EMTs are helping us out. We're just there as advanced level care, and we're just, monitoring her. It's all we do. Most of the time, we're just monitoring patients that are going from point A to point B. But because of the advanced level care that they've already received, and that they have intervened, interventions done, IVs and monitors and drugs and medications and so on, EMTs aren't trained at that level. And so the nurse and the paramedic are. And so that's why we are giving them a transfer. So whether we're doing it by ground, that's a paramedic, a ground paramedic's job, and the paramedics do that in the civilian world. I did that as well. We called those interfacility transfers, where actually the BLS and ALS did interfacility transfers. But if it had an IV established, that's automatically ALS advanced level, and a EMT unfortunately can't handle that. They're not legally able to handle that. Anybody with an IV, so they would call a paramedic ambulance. There's no really excitement in those calls. Every once in a while there might be, but typically we're babysitting from point A to point B. Well, that's what we did for this patient. We put her on the airplane, drove her back to the airport, offload her out of the ambulance, wheel the gurney up to the airplane, and then we actually have a stretcher that is designed for the airplane that we take out of the airplane, and then we transfer onto that, and then we get her up into the airplane and get her, situated and secure, and then we take off. And we did, sure, Don. So basically, that was the story why they, and they gave us the VIP treatment back to the airport. And when we got to Philadelphia, they also provided the VIP treatment from the airport. The same thing in reverse. An ambulance met us there. We transferred into the ambulance, gave her a ride to the receiving hospital, to Cooper Hospital in Philly. And then while we were there, the CIA agents went down into the cafeteria with us and had lunch with us. So they're all sitting with us, and we just talked, So we had armed guards while we were eating our lunch. And I don't remember, I always try to remember, because of the length of the transfer, I don't know if we may have stayed overnight in a hotel room and then the next morning flew back, because or we more than likely flew back the same day and ended up getting back at, dark 30 in the morning, and everybody's wasted, including the pilot. And we're doing multiple, one or two stops on the way back for fuel, because it's a small Cessna, a smaller Cessna, I should say. It's not a Learjet. It's a double prop plane. So it can only go so fast and so high. I think our ceiling was 15,000 feet. And it pressurized, because it could only pressurize the cabin down to 1,500 feet. And so there's there's flight physiology involved when you start getting up in altitude. When the altitude starts exceeding a certain altitude, not necessarily outside the cabin, it's what's inside the cabin. I think I think commercial airliners can actually pressurize to that 1,500-foot elevation at 30,000 feet. Whereas, our ceiling was 15,000 and we could pressurize to 1,500 feet, somewhere around there. I think if my memory serves me correct, it was like 1,300 or 1,500. And we had to keep below a certain elevation because it starts affecting not only us, but a sick patient more than us. Especially abdominal injuries, gases start to expand, and that's not good for somebody that's already suffering from some kind of an abdominal injury, such as this CIA daughter. She was dealing with, abdominal, um, uh, intervention, and so we had to keep her, below a certain elevation in flight, and that just, it's taxing in a small plane traveling that far, 3,000 miles or thereabouts, not only on the patient, but on us and the pilot. And so I don't know if we stayed overnight. I don't remember. Or if we went ahead and just rested and then flew back the same day or the next day or whatever it was. So, oh, 45 seconds. Well, I was just finishing up the story, Don. We got the VIP treatment once we got to Philadelphia and had lunch with the agents down in the cafeteria. And then eventually we flew home. I don't know if we flew home the same day or if we got a hotel room. I don't quite remember. But it can be a grueling process to fly that far in a, yeah, abdominal. Well, I don't know if you caught, but flight physiology in an airplane, we go through continuing education for that, and we start learning, about the effects of altitude on certain parts of the body. Abdominal is in particular, that's what altitude affects. It affects gases, not only, literal gas like in your abdomen, but arterial pressures and pressures, oxygen pressures, and yada yada yada. So in the Cessna that we flew in, we had a ceiling of like 15,000 feet, if I remember correctly, and we could only pressurize our cabin down to 1,500. It was either 1,300 or 1,500, and we had to stay below that ceiling on purpose because the cabin could only be pressurized to 1,500. Anything above 15,000 feet, the cabin pressure starts to go up, and that affects not only us, everybody, but especially somebody like this teenager that had abdominal injuries. Those gases start to expand and they get uncomfortable and yada yada yada. Yeah, all of that. So it was interesting, when I first applied for the job. Um, that was, something I wasn't familiar. They didn't teach that in paramedic school, so I had to go through some additional training, and it was basically just uh, good to know information. And then, every once in a while, it was more the pilot. Um, he was also informed, and so he knew. Um, or he would talk with the nurse or us, and ask them, what is 15,000 okay? Can I go up to our ceiling, or do you want it to be a little lower than that, or whatever? And then you have to make a decision. But yeah, I just did that for about a year until I don't know, some chapter of my life probably changed, and I ended up doing my next chapter in my life. But it was pretty cool. All in all, it wasn't as glorious as like 911 uh, calls in an ambulance because we're not responding to emergency calls. They're usually patients that have, like I said, have already been treated. They're already stabilized, and we're just monitoring them, and making sure that they, stay within the parameters that are normal. We flew to Acapulco. Speaking of Mexico, I mentioned earlier, there was like four uh, U.S. citizens that were on vacation down in Acapulco, and apparently they were in a motor vehicle accident and got injured. And two of them were critical, and two of them uh, were like walking wounded. They were injured, but they were already treated and were walking and had their bandage around whatever they got injured. And so we split the four. We had two airplanes fly down to Acapulco, and that was our plan. Was we were going to split them two and two, and found out there was two critical and two walking wounded. So we took one critical and one walking wounded, and the other airplane took another critical and the other walking wounded. And then we flew tandem back to San Diego, to UCSD Medical Center, as a matter of fact. And the one, the one we had, they were both. The other airplane had, I think, an abdominal injury. Speaking of, and they had their hands full apparently on the way back. All right, Don. Wow, sounds cool. I could use one. I'm next. Tell her. No problem, Don. I appreciate your your attendance and finding me again. It's really cool. Puts a smile on my face there, Marine. Brings back good memories. Later, as you were, brother. Are you still there, Cruz? Lil, how about you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you, Lil, if you're still there. Oh, it looks like there's 5 viewers. How many do you guys see? I've got 5 up here on my little tab thing, my little drop down. Yeah, who's still in the house? Anybody else? Come one, come all. So how is everything for everyone? Is everyone all right? Doing well? Fed, safe, warm, or cool in my case? Healthy, struggling, rich? Any travelers out there? Never thought of that subject. How about overseas foreign workers? Any Filipinos watching that are abroad? Or anybody? Is anybody in a foreign country other than their home country working by any chance? I'm on the East Coast of the United States. This is not my hometown. I was born and raised in San Diego, and life events brought me to the East Coast. The Iraq War, in particular, was the catalyst for ending up here on the East Coast. Uh-oh. We're down to three eyeballs, three sets. Don't leave, guys. Come back, come back. Are you there? Are you there? Come on in. Well, the only drawback about this coffee is I can't stop drinking it, and it disappears too quick. And this cup is a little bit smaller than my other one, but even then, it's like I go through it so fast, and then I have nothing else to sip on. Well, I've got a glass of water over here. That's what I should be drinking anyways. But yeah, that coffee's so easy to drink the way I have it mixed, and it's like drinking on a like a chocolate milk almost, but a hot coffee tasting chocolate milk, hot chocolate with honey and Splenda, but no chocolate. It just has a. It actually is advertised as having a dark chocolate aftertaste or hint, I think, of dark chocolate. Who else? Who's here? I got three sets of eyeballs looking or watching. Who's out there? Any regulars coming back? Are you still there, affectionate butterfly? Um, how about, uh, let's see. Um, how about Robbie from Albania? I mean, not Albania, from Romania. Guys, come in, come in. Drop on in. Say hello. Shout out. Do something. There's Matt. Awesome. I just was saying, come on in. Right on, Matt. Where are you from? What part of the world? What part of the USA are you? Let's see here. I'm zooming in on your Crimson Tide. Awesome. That's Alabama? Is that right? Yep, Alabama. I just zoomed in on your A. Yeah, it's either Alabama or Arkansas. Who what else? There's not Arizona, but that's not Crimson Tide. I know that. Alabama. Awesome, Matt. Well, East Coast at the moment. I'm a San Diego boy. Life events brought me back to the East Coast back in 2000, actually 2005. But I kind of went back to California and then came back to keep my wife happy. Happy wife, happy life. She has family here in New Jersey. So I ended up in New Jersey back in 2012, since 2012. And what do you do, Matt? Are you a student? Yeah, what do you do? What are your interests? No way. Awesome. Beautiful. You know what? That's so cool that you just happened to find me because that is, I don't know if you read some of my channel description or what, but Navy vet myself, and there's a few other vets here that come in as well. Army Ranger and Army veteran, forget what he did as well. And Ruck Don, the I don't know if you can see his name above you. He's a ex-Marine. So we got Marines, Navy, and Army so far. No Air Force yet. Air Force. And what did you do? And what branch, Matt? Real quick, just while if you're answering, uh, yeah, I joined the service at a much later age than the standard, 18, 17, 18, 19-year-old out of high school. I came in through a program called APG program, or Advanced Pay Grade, where they take your civilian experience and transfer it into the military. So, for example, if you're a construction worker in the civilian world, oh, awesome. OIF, gosh, what year were you there? I was there OEF, OIF, OEF as well, 2004, 2005. Yeah, I was saying I came in through that program when I was 37 years old. I became a Navy corpsman or a doc, hence the name Doc MacKay. As you probably already know, they call their medics doc. The Marine Corps calls the Navy corpsman doc as opposed to medic. So yeah, I was married up with the 123 Marines out of Houston, Texas, and was providing medical support as one of their corpsmen over at Fob Heat, Iraq, in the Al Anbar province. I'm sure you've probably heard of it. 2004, 2005. Educate me, Matt. I'm not familiar with your MOSs. Oh, you were there just before me. I relieved. Well, actually, I was told before we occupied Fob Heat, the Army was there just before we left, or somewhere close to thereabouts. Gosh, check it out. Were you really, Matt? 2003, 2004. You weren't in Fallujah by any chance, were you? That was the hot spot during that time. I was right near the Haditha Dam. Half of our battalion was at the dam, and the other 250, 300 of us were at Fob Heat next to the Euphrates River. Diesel technician. Awesome. Well, I say that because in the Marines, they called them the Motor T Division, or the Motor Transportation, and they did pretty much anything that had wheels on it, or tracks, etc. And one of them was assigned to the BAS, the Battle Aid Station. That's the emergency room. We'll just call it the primitive BAS, and he was our driver. They assigned one of the Motor T guys to us to drive our Humvee, that / ambulance. So he berthed with us and drove for us when needed. And then when he wasn't, when there was a lot of downtime at that particular time, so he would cruise over to his group, to the Motor T guys, and hang out with them when he wasn't hanging out with us. Yeah, 596 maintenance company. Anything and everything, or what in particular? What vehicles did you work on the most, or did you maintain? Yeah, talk to me. That was a really cool, my first experience with the United States Marines directly on a prolonged, for a prolonged period of time, if you want to call 7 months prolonged, and being, in a war zone was a first experience as well. And that whole 7 months was, definitely eye opening. And when it was safe, it was a learning experience. Oh, sorry, I just clicked out of. There we go. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button and kicked me away for a second. If I may ask, Matt, about what's your age group? You said 2004, 2005, so I'm going to say you're in your 40s. As a matter of fact, Josh Eson, he was an Army Ranger. Um, he pops in usually. I haven't seen him tonight or this morning, but Josh is a disabled Army veteran. Yep. Uh, IED, got blown up in an IED or something and ended up suffering, you know, closed head injury and etc. Everything else that goes along with that. Or as they call them, TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, so on. Oh, investing in stock market, playing chess? Awesome. Yeah, Matt, gosh, you're about the same age Josh is. Josh is 48, I think. Yeah, maybe you'll meet Josh if he comes in. I haven't seen him though yet. It's already 4 in the morning over here, and he's usually already popped in by now. Awesome. When you say wheel vehicles, oh, is that were you answering my question? 596 maintenance company, wheeled vehicles. For example, now that we're talking about that, um, I was, well, in the Navy. They refer to you either working blue side or green side, and because we provide medical support for the Marines, if you're assigned to a Marine Corps battalion or group, that's green side for obvious reasons. And then if you're in the Navy and on a ship or on that side, they refer to that as the blue side. So I was blue side for most of my 8 years contract. I was a reservist. When I came in to the military through that advanced pay grade program, I was on the ground at a Navy air station, providing support on the ground. And being with the Marines over in Iraq was my first, full time opportunity to be green side. So that was, it was welcome to the Marines, a crash course in welcome to the Marines in how they function, even though it was part of my study, and my encouraged to, if I was going to advance, in my pay grade, um, it would behoove a corpsman to learn as much as he could about the Marine Corps because we, may find ourselves providing medical support for the Marines one day. And sure enough, in 2004 is when I got the phone call and I got deployed. And I got assigned to the 123 Marines out of Houston, Texas. So it was not only welcome to Iraq, but welcome to the Marines. And so it was an eye-opening, experience to see how they worked and what they dealt with and the vehicles and the whole the whole picture. And then to see that in operation during wartime or in operation period, that's what they did on a daily basis when they were working, out in the field, as you guys did, going through mock missions and, whatever. Well, I never, I only went to school for that for 2 weeks. And that was why I ended up being assigned to the 123 Marines during 2004, was because I had volunteered myself to go to this school at Camp Lejeune and Camp Pendleton to learn how to play with the Marines. And then I went back to the blue side, providing medical support, on uh, a naval air station, uh, port, sorry, Point Magoo Naval Air Station. Oh, so heavy vehicles, 2 tons and up? Awesome. So educate me. What were the names of some of the, were MRAPs one of the vehicles that you maintenance? Any tanks? That's different. Did do Army? Yeah, Army. The Army has M1 Abrams, right? I know the Marines did. Yeah, I remember seeing the a tank division. Bina. Hi, Bina, or Bina. Bina. I'm gonna call you Bina. The uh, the tanks have their whole, as you know, they got their own vehicles that maintenance tanks and heavy lifting tow trucks, tank trucks for changing tracks and all of the above. You said wheeled vehicles above, so I'm going to assume tanks wasn't part of your maintenance. Hi, Bina. How are you? Well, I'm glad to see you, Matt. Sincerely, honest. It was pretty cool um, just to be part of that and to know that so many others were over there when I was there and going through the same crap. And Bina, tell me about you again. I think I remember your username. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you've never been here before. What were the names of the vehicles, Matt, that the 2 tons and up? Ah, tank for towing. Awesome. So I take it you were out in the field and just doing point A to point B type missions? And had objectives and uh, yeah, things to do, and then would go from one place to another. Yeah, how did that work? When you guys were out there, so you were you assigned to a particular um, what are the divisions called in the army? Uh, Group, and you traveled with them in the event that they needed vehicle maintenance, or did you guys hang back at a fob and then get called and respond to them? How did that work? Or did you do a little bit of both? You hang out at a fob at times, and then other times you were out on the road or out in the field? Bina, are you still there? Looks like I'm down to one set of eyeballs. Robbie! Hey, did you get my message, Robbie? Come in with your the shopkeeper and see if I can see you, because your name was added to my user list, and it accepted it, and I also made you a like an advanced moderator, just trying whatever I could do to um, you know, get you get us uh, being able to see each other again. I did, and it's not working because I tried to reply to your message and I could not. Ah, now you say you tried to apply to my message. Why am I able to reply to your message and you're able to see me in your video, but you can't reply to my message? Are you sure it's not on your end? Did you check to make sure I'm not on your blocked list, or ignore, or not ignore, hidden? I got you, Matt. Are you ambulatory, Matt? You know, as a doc, as a medic, you know, these are like normal questions I ask. There's no problem that what agent said on the YouTube. Oh, so you spoke to somebody through the chat and said there's no problem with you. It's my end, huh? I don't know if you heard me, Matt. I was asking, yeah, are you ambulatory or? I got you, Robbie. I got you. You told me that before. I was just trying to clarify what you said to me before. I got you, Robbie. Gotcha. I'm sorry, Matt. I didn't quite understand. What do you mean break down the difference? Yeah, me too, Robbie. I something prompted me to uh, look at your look at the problem again, and I thought I found a solution, or at least I thought of something else to try. So yeah, I guess it didn't work. So ambulatory is walking. Sorry, I'll work on it, Robbie. Yeah, I use the medical terminology, Matt, because those that are dealing with issues, start getting introduced to medical terms. It's inevitable, because you're dealing with it on a daily basis, and so you'll have caretakers or workers, working with you, and they use those terms on a daily basis, and so if you're if you're dealing with walkers or wheelchairs or anything to do with walking, um, you learn the word ambulatory is a pretty you know common term that is used. Oh, that's my battery. Excuse me a second. I'm gonna change out my battery. I get a 2 hour window to work with this with my batteries, so I've got another battery right over here that I've already charged, and I swap them out and then go through the drill every 2 hours here. All right, stand by. Other batteries going in. And there we go. And there we go. Oh, it looks like I forgot to discontinue the camera while I was doing this, so you don't get dizzy trying to see me set the camera up again. But there we go. Okay. Whoa, that's kind of too high. Let's try that again. Yeah. Yeah, it's a again, sorry about the ambulatory, using that word, throwing you a little bit. So when did you get home? You got home in 2004. Oh, so see, Matt, example. Just change the subject real quick. If you can see shopkeeper, I cannot, and so the shopkeeper and I have been trying to figure out this issue for a number of months now, and yeah, we're both trying to figure out. He apparently has spoke with YouTube, and they say that it's on my end, and I haven't. I'm unable to speak to a chat agent like he has. I'm not sure why, but um, So we're still trying to figure out. He's not on my block list, um, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not sure. If I can speak to a chat agent, I mean, that'd be simple. It seems like it's a simple fix, you know? So were you in a vehicle when you had your accident or on foot? I have uh, a near miss story I've told before, but I'll be more than happy to talk about it again. I actually have a write up. I did an after action when I got back from um, Iraq about that call. And if you guys have the time or want to go there and read the story a little more detailed, lengthier um, version of this story, you can go there and read about it. But I'll post the website for you where you can find that story. It's at this website. You can copy and paste it, in your address bar and illusiondweller.blogspot.com. Um, you're asking me, Matt, how's life treating you? To tell you the truth, better than I deserve. Yeah, every day. Very fortunate to be spoiled with a wife and my 19-year-old youngest boy. I was married once before. I have two older children. They're on their own now. My eldest is 39 years old. He'll be 40 in November, and my daughter is 30. She'll be 36 this month, and she has two children, so that makes me a grandfather. She's married in Florida. My son's in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. And I said earlier, I'm here in south part of New Jersey. Her family, my wife's family, is located here, so that's her comfort zone, is to be with her family. So I'm a San Diego boy. I think I might have mentioned relocated to the East Coast. As a matter of fact, Iraq was the catalyst for coming back here. I demobilized in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And instead of sending me back to California, where I'm from, my wife was here in New Jersey. So I said, they changed my orders and I flew to Philly and reunited with her here. Let's see. I was into the rock climbing circles, Matt, for many, many years. I was 19 when I got introduced to that back in 1981. And that was my hobby. That was my gym, my gymnasium. Instead of going to the weight room, I would go out on the rocks in Southern California, particularly, because that's where I'm from. And I was involved, gosh, all the way up until I was 53 years old. And then I moved back here and ended up becoming, what's the word, here on the couch for the last 8 years. And there's really no climbing going on. Hey, RIP, welcome back. Yeah, so rock climbing, I was a drummer, a percussionist in high school. junior high, high school. I didn't pursue that after high school. And then, yeah, I'm pretty much interested in many, many things, but if I get interested in too many things, I don't have enough time for them. But I'm one of those, if I get an interest in something, I need to get good at it. And it takes time to get good at something, so I can't get good at everything. But I've delved into everything from Little League Baseball to football to, yeah. Uh, this is all when I was younger. Baseball was going to be, if I was going to excel at anything, it was going to be baseball. And I ended up giving that up when I became a teenager. And then I got into girls and the beach and, uh, yeah, down that chapter of life. And I as well played some chess, but didn't pursue that. I didn't have, it was something interesting and started to learn, and that's about as far as that went. And then, gosh, I played handball, I played racquetball, I played tennis. Uh, let's see, I swam. My dad was a proficient swimmer in high school. And so that was kind of part of life growing up. Um, Rock climbing occupied my life when like I said, when I was 19, and that was the emphasis pretty much as far as hobbies, outdoor hobbies. Mountaineering, camping, backpacking has always kind of been where my heart is. Um, my dad brought me up, as um, introduced me to weapons in a small way. He brought me hunting, particularly duck hunting, when I was younger. So I learned about, weapons in a small way. Um, my dad was hey girl in the mirror. My dad was in the Navy. I remember seeing a plaque on his wall growing up. He did like a 4-year contract with the Navy. He was the rate at the time was a teletype operator. He was, uh, learned communication. He was in communications and learned Morse code and, all the different aspects of military communications. But it wasn't like emphasized or part of my life growing up. I didn't know my dad when he was in the service. This was before or early, maybe when I was a youngster, 1, 2 years old, something like that, when he got out of the Navy. But therefore, because of that, um, was a reason why I chose the Navy when I had the opportunity, when I got exposed to this advanced pay grade program. So I took my paramedic license into the military, into a recruiter's trailer, and I spoke with Army recruiter and I spoke with a Navy recruiter, and I ended up choosing the Navy. But other than that, no. None of my elder brother and my 2 sisters, neither of them were in the service, or my mom. I don't even know if my relatives, I don't remember hearing, or maybe my uncle was in the Navy. Now that you say that, Uncle Bob in Oklahoma, but I don't, I never knew anything about that. And then although not part of my bloodline, but my grandmother remarried a man from Scotland, and I got his name as my middle name. His name was Edward, so my middle name is Edward. And So he's like a step grandfather, but he was in the Royal Air Force, the RAS. Is that Royal Air Force? Um, in England, and he was a gunner on uh, what is the British version of the with the turret on the nose and the turret in the back, a Lancaster bomber, British Lancaster bomber. So I remember, he was like, as a child growing up, I really was like attached to him, and I he got my attention, something about him, probably this very subject. So I used to ask him questions about it, and I learned a little bit of who he was, and he showed me pictures, black and white photos of his squadron, and then I ended up doing a paper in elementary school, I think it was, and I did it on his life in the Royal Air Force, and I got pictures, and I actually got some of his ribbons and his medals. Um, hey, speaking of family history, I got prompted to do the ancestry.com, so I'm on their database. Oh, awesome. Beautiful. Yeah, I worked with a Desert Storm vet, young kid, um, corpsman, Navy corpsman, and this was before I was even in the military. So this was pre. Wait. His name was Alan. I'm trying to remember. Was I in the service? I was 30, uh, 2 months before my 37th birthday, June, when I was 36 in June. I turned 37 in August. That was the cutoff age. I just learned something about the cutoff age, by the way. And then um, as time went on, the age got pushed to 42, 5 years more. And then I just ran into a um, uh, F-16 squadron. Uh, I don't know what his position was. He was getting a haircut at the salon where I get my haircut, and we got talking briefly. And he was a recruiter of all people, and he's like, "Yeah, the cutoff age is 43 now." And I went, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yep. They extended it one more year." And I said, "I'll be dang. Well, there you go." For those of you listening, if you want to join the military, you have until you're 43 years old. As a civilian, you can go into a recruiter's office, and they'll do their best to get you to sign on the dotted line. Yep. I was encouraging my wife. She's a nurse. I said, "Honey, you can be an officer. You've got your bachelor's. If you've got a bachelor's or above, you can be an officer. They'll send you to officer candidate school. Become a second lieutenant, as you come in, an ensign, and work as a nurse at a military hospital, part time as a reservist, or you could go full time." Oh yeah, so this man, my step grandfather, we called him Scotty because he's from Scotland, and many of the Scottish men are called Scotty for that very reason. So Scotty had an influence on me growing up, um, and I do remember him telling me about. He told me a pretty cool story. Like I said, I did a report on his life, and I started collect. He actually had some ribbons still, and he let me have them. I still have them somewhere in my basement, and I researched them all and did a report on them. And He's got like the Croix de Guerre. That's the cross. Croix is cross in French, and um, issued by Charles de Gaulle of France, and this is World War II. And he was a rear gunner on a what I say, British Lancaster bomber. And he told me, you hear this, you hear word of this from the older generation, and he said the same thing when I would ask him about his time in war. He says, "Well, we don't talk about those things, Gary." And I've heard that expression since, but um, and he said they got shot down. It is right from Scotty's mouth. I remember to this day. He said his bomber got shot down, and he had to bail out at 30,000 feet. Hence, why he had hearing aids to that when he was alive. He ended up dying in 1983, I think. And yeah, he was always hard of hearing. He was always putting his hand, up to his ear and telling me to repeat what I said. And he had hearing aids. And he says that was why, because he bailed out at 30,000 feet and blew his eardrums. Yep, survived that. Pretty crazy. Yeah, I still have his photo somewhere in the basement. Incredible. Black and white photo, of all the rows of the guys, just like we do today. You all line up with your weapons out front if you're, you know, well, he had his, the Royal Air Force photo of his squadron, black and white, with a red arrow pointing down at Scotty, like ding. It's pretty cool. Yeah, his name was Edward Thompson with no P. Thomson. Thompson. Edward Scotty Thompson. Yeah. Yeah, and just another part of the story. When I was doing research, on his life and trying to collect the medals, I had some ribbons. Like I said, I have them in an envelope somewhere down in the basement. Um, I had ribbons, and then I tried to collect the medals. Whether I needed to, look for them online. Online wasn't very big. I did research. I remember out of the Encyclopedia Britannica back then. It wasn't online, but I tried locating some of the medals, associated with the ribbons. And then after the fact, I looked into it again to try to get the medals associated with so I could, have them. And apparently the medals were still available and that a family member had them. And it was his brother, and he was in Scotland. And so I started asking my mom, how do I get a hold of somebody? How do I get a hold of Scotty's relatives? Oh, well, they're in Scotland. And, well, she had some point of contact information, and, you write letters then. And so she got word back later that his brother apparently had some alcohol problems or something, or whatever his stronghold was, and he ended up hawking Scotty's medals for money and sold them to a pawn shop, and that was the end of that. And so, I today I could probably, obviously I could go online and get medals, associated with those ribbons and just have them to display and probably make a uh, what do you call it? What do you call it? Box. But I never did. And so I never got those, the actual medals that he was awarded. but it was a pretty cool, thing to research and to find out about. Yeah, it was Shadowbox. Thank you. Um, the Croix de Guerre, and also there was a ribbon or a medal. Yeah, it was Charles de Gaulle of France. I guess that uh, is who issued that one. Some campaign medals, from World War II. Uh, I forget the something cross. That's Croix de Guerre. That's the Croix de Guerre. But anyways, yeah, I remember I had to do that report uh, for extra credit because I wasn't doing very well in that particular subject or history or whatever it was. And in order to pass the class, I needed to get my average up. And so I ended up doing a report on Scotty. So yeah, I ended up going to boot camp uh, back in New Orleans, Louisiana. Usually the boot camp is the Great Lakes in Illinois, but for the Navy. But in this instance, the APG program boot camp was in New Orleans, and I had just left New Orleans chasing a girl back in 1998, 99, or 90, 97, 98. Yeah. And then when I returned back to California with my tail between my legs after that 8 months of HELL, um, I ended up going into a recruiter's trailer with this knowledge. Actually, I think I got the brochures in New Orleans, Louisiana when I was living there, working as a paramedic, a civilian paramedic. And then I was in between jobs at the time, back in my mom's house, camping out on her couch until further notice. And then I found these brochures about this APG program, and I ended up going to a um, recruiter's office, and the rest is history. I signed my name on. I actually met the recruiter at a Denny's in Del Mar, California, and he drove. He was like 23 years old, and I was 37. And he met me at the Denny's, and we had lunch. He bought me lunch and all the paperwork, and I ended up signing my name on the dotted line, and then I got sworn in down at Naval Air Station San Diego, and that was the beginning of my 8-year contract. You said I just described. Thanks, Matt, so much. You don't create any content. Can't listen to people like yourself. Awesome. Well, you're not the first, and I hope you come back. Yeah, I don't know if you're leaving at the moment, but yeah, there's a few vets that come in, 3 in particular that have been returning, and maybe we can all chit chat. As a matter of fact, hey Matt, check this out. What are the chances? I was working with 2 Iraqi interpreters over there at Fob Heat, and one was an ex-Iraqi pilot in the Air Force, Iraqi Air Force, and the other was a teacher. He was actually, speaking of nursing, he was also a nurse in Baghdad. I think he had his bachelor's. We talked every night when we could, 8:30 p.m. usually. I would leave the BAS and go over to their hooch, where the 2 workers from overseas foreign workers from Albania and Yugoslavia, and then 2 Iraqi interpreters. They shared 2 apartments upstairs in this building that we occupied. And gotcha. Are you going to stay awake like me instead of going to bed? Stay awake so I can take my wife to work at 6:30 in the morning. Um, so the two Iraqi interpreters, when we were drinking coffee and having tea with them, uh, the one was their names were Ali and Safwan. Safwan was the Iraqi pilot. As a matter of fact, that blog spot that I posted earlier, I've got a story that talks about Safwan and the patrol I did with him. Um, Ali, the nurse, and he also was an English teacher in Baghdad. I kept in touch with him when I came back, and we would communicate then on Yahoo Messenger. So I was chit chatting with him on a periodic basis, touch base with him, and he was either still working back in Iraq with the Marines or with the Army. He did both, and or he was back home in Baghdad. And at the time, he was back in Baghdad because I was talking to him. I was in San Diego at the time, and when we relocated back there for a couple years before we came back here in 2012, and I've been here since. And I'm talking with him and saying, "Hey, Ali, the typical back and forth. Um, how are you? How's your family, etc." And I said, "Are you still in Baghdad?" I'm typing to him, and he answers back, "No, I'm in Michigan." And I thought, Michigan? You know how there's different, like, similar city names in different countries, you know? And I thought, well, maybe there's a Michigan, Iraq, and I just never heard of it before. So I wrote back, Michigan, Iraq, Michigan, comma, Iraq. And he was like, no, Michigan, USA. And I thought, what? You're in Michigan? He says, yes. I was like, Ali, what are you doing in Michigan? He was just in Baghdad 2 months the last time I spoke with him, a month prior or 2 months prior. He says, no, I'm in such and such Michigan, USA. And I thought, holy crap, how did you pull that off? And, how'd you get here? And who do you know in Michigan? I was just trying to figure out, how's an Iraqi national end up in the USA? Well, just to make a long story shorter, apparently he had a son, an older son, his eldest son, was already in the USA, and he petitioned for his dad. I thought it was the military helping him, giving him some kind of asylum, and going through those hoops. But I guess not. He had a son that was already in the USA, and he petitioned for his dad and ended up um, bringing his dad to the USA. And as a matter of fact, we did that for my wife's dad in the Philippines. My wife's from the Philippines. So I was familiar with that. And I was like, I'll be dang, you're in Michigan, USA right now. I was like, dude, I'm not far from you. I'm in New Jersey. It's like, so I immediately started making plans to go visit Ali. And my wife and I and my son drove to Michigan. Or did we fly? No, we drove. And we ended up staying with him and his wife, and tearful reunion. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. Can you imagine? The memories I have with Ali was going out on patrol with him with a platoon, Charlie platoon. It was either Safwan or Ali. And I eventually started doing patrols with the platoons of the Marines that I was assigned to. My primary place of residency was at the BAS, back at the FOB. So I was kind of, as they said, I was a spoiled corpsman, that had a roof over my head, and I was more protected per se. Not be, as not being out on the road, in harm's way, which as I learned even myself, that's the worst place to be, is out on the road. Um, so anyways, I reunited with Ali, and it was wow. Just you don't unless you've experienced unless people have been there and experienced anything to do with war, you really can't express where your tears are coming from and why. And where I didn't even see it coming. I was so excited to see him, and when we saw each other, we were like, it was like I hadn't seen him in umpteen years, and all the emotions just come to the surface, and you're like, you're just wiping, shedding tears, cleaning your face off after hugging each other. It was incredible. It's just unbelievable to see a man from Baghdad, Iraq, in the United States. Unbelievable. When the last time I saw him, we were on our faces with flak jackets on, either out in the dirt or in a building, with covered in debris and dust from, the 80 and 60 millimeter mortars that had just landed, nearby, etc. The rest is history. But yeah, it was crazy, just absolute crazy. Safwan, I lost touch with Safwan. I kept in touch with the guy from Albania. He was just a worker. He emptied our trash and or cleaned our outhouses, the the porta johns. You can't hear me. Uh, I don't know if you let me 1 second. Hold on. Audio. Test. No, I've got audio. I've got audio, Matt. It might be you. Yeah, it might be on your end, Matt, because girl in the mirror says she can hear me. Thank you, girl in the mirror, for that confirmation. Yeah, let me know, Matt, if you figure out where the problem is. Ah, very good. Yeah, it's not unusual. My mic and headphone, I'm actually using an Xbox. So when people say we can't hear you, I'm looking at the Xbox controller. This is actually I'm viewing the browser on my smart TV, and I'm using a StreamYard platform to chat or to live stream through. And so if my Xbox controller goes to sleep, if that light goes off right there, I lose my mic as well. So I have to toggle or move the cursor, before 10 minutes or, every 10 minutes or so that it doesn't die. So the first thing I did was looked at my controller to when you said, I can't hear you. And then I went also to my settings to see if I have the scroll bar reacting to my voice. I can do an audio check. And I had voice, so little bit. I mean, hence the reason why I wear this hat. I'm not up to speed on too much anymore because I've cut, primetime TV out of my routine since 2008. But I keep up on what I choose to keep up on, and so I'll talk about it as much as I know, and then otherwise I'm all ears and learning or hearing the scuttlebutt from uh, other other sources. Scuttlebutt, if you can't figure that out, that's the Navy's way of saying the rumors, the latest talk, or the scuttlebutt. Say there's another term actually. We're talking about snacks, and that's a pogey bait in the. Oh no, that's a more nautical terms, slang. What's on your mind as far as politics go, Matt? Did I finish my coffee? I think I got a little bit left. Yeah, I got a little bit left. That's it. Last drop. Jamie! What's up, Jamie? Brother. Jamie, meet Matt. Matt is a Army vet. In Wait, you told me, Matt. I think you told me. Did you? Wait, I don't think you did. Maybe you did, and I missed it. Where are you located, Matt? Jamie, you're in Michigan? Yeah, good. It was. I commented on my coffee. I said that's the drawback of that coffee. Larry Drizmala, or what is it? Oh, Drizimala. What's up, Larry? What's up, Doc? Oh, in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Okay, okay. There's a Gloucester, uh, New Jersey. I was going to live. I was going to a church and running a program out of that church in Gloucester. The pastor's last name was Doster. Pastor Doster from Gloucester. We talked about Pensacola. I'll be dang. Uh, Business? You going to live, or what are you going to do down in Pensacola, Jimmy? Awesome. We got 5 people, 5 sets of eyeballs in the house. Come on in, everyone. Larry, what about you? Have I met you before? I don't don't recognize the. Yeah, I almost like I recognize your profile picture, but I am not sure. Ah, you're working in Pensacola. Construction. Hoorah. Cool. Uh, no, Alabama isn't on the way down. Uh, he's going to go right down 95. So he'll be going through Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, uh, Maryland, Virginia, uh, or through, but you have to take the ferry getting across that way. Um, Delaware, and then North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and into Florida. Oh, you're going to go down 65. Back now here in Texas, getting off work, 4 a.m. Well, we got Texas, we got um, Massachusetts. Matt is a mystery. Still don't know where Matt is. And unless I missed it, Alabama, New Jersey, Philippines. Girl in the Mirror is from the Philippines. She gets the award for the furthest away. Been there, done that. 95 to 90 to 84 to 81 to 65. There you go. That's right. I forgot. Once you get down to Georgia-ish, you're gonna branch over to the panhandle of, or where do you deviate? Somewhere in South Carolina and start heading over? Yeah, where does 95 go to 90? What state is that? Without going to Google Maps here. When does 90 branch off of 95? What state is that? Yeah, I'm in South Jersey, Atlantic County area of Jersey. I'm a San Diego native and relocated back here after the Iraq War. Oh, oh, that's in Massachusetts. Okay, and then to 84. Yeah, I don't know that route. What? Do you avoid the tolls going that way or something? Is that why 95 to 90 to 84 to 81? So where's that take you? Heat warnings, Larry. Um, yeah, praise God for the military. Yeah, it's definitely a must for a nation to have a military. It's a wall of protection. To avoid the traffic. Okay, okay. Well, it all depends. I didn't have any problem um, going down to Florida from Jersey. It was just timing, as you know. It depends on the if you can plan your route at the right time of day, you can avoid a lot of. But even then, I did run into some rush hour traffic through Delaware, getting out of Delaware into Virginia, was it? Yeah, through the tunnels and stuff. But it was short-lived. It was no more than a 10-minute delay, at the most. And then it would clear up and back up to speed. No big deal. Not like traveling through Los Angeles, or New York City. Yeah, I think, did I tell you, Jamie? I did, I got into just briefly, I ended up midlife crisis and ended up with a a vehicle that you would more than likely see a 20-year-old get out of. It was a Mitsubishi. They called it a Sportback, but it was a wagon. And I ended up turbocharging it and turning it into a weekend road racing vehicle. And so I would go to these tracks um, here in New Jersey in particular, and then New Jersey Motorsports Park, and then that took me to Ware, Massachusetts, to a newly opened track in Ware, and drove 5 hours up there with my vehicle and all my tires and stuff, and then had fun up there, and then drove back. So that was my family and I did a trip up to the Plymouth to see the Plymouth Rock, and at least the replica and the ships there at the dock, and did that museum walk, and then another monument up on a hill there. Forget what the name of it is. Yeah, we did the northeast. I called it our northeast loop vacation, where we went from here in New Jersey up to upstate New York, in Niagara Falls, over into Canada, and saw a family member up in uh, Ontario, and then or Toronto, Ontario, and across the top of Lake Ontario in Canada, and then eventually back down into the Thousand Island, New York, and back into the States, and then through whatever that route is, goes through where the Olympics were, Lake Placid, New York, and then Massachusetts, and we did some ski lift during the summertime, and back down, and toured our way eventually through uh, um, 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 New Hampshire, and then up into Maine, and we did the uh, what city is that? Where the lobster, the big Portland, Maine. Stayed at a hotel, and then on down the coast back to New Jersey through Massachusetts, Connecticut. Um, what am I missing? Rhode Island, New York, and back down um, into New Jersey. Yeah, Larry, the heat is just the summertime humidity and heat. Um, things are growing really well, this time of year. Lots of green, and mosquitoes are starting to appear a little bit. They're starting to rise up out of the ground, and the fireflies, and like I said, the 90-degree weather and the high humidity. Um, I do a lot of bass fishing, and I got a sit on top tandem kayak, and I haven't been doing that because of the heat. Um, if I do, I go out in the later afternoon until dark, and then come back in the dark around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Maybe even push it to 10, depending on how good the fishing is. And then, yeah, that's not a whole lot. Waiting for my son to start another school year. He'll be starting his second year of college in September. And I met, uh, who was it? It wasn't Jamie. It was another guy we were talking about hooking up and doing a fishing trip. He's in Virginia. but I haven't got a email from him yet, so that may or may not take place. But that would be a cool weekend outing, just to meet somewhere in between Virginia and New Jersey and um, get together in my kayak and head out. And I've got a trolling motor we can get around in, and pedals and a paddle, and I'm good to go. Yeah, give me a reason to get out of Dodge and go play in some watering hole that I haven't been to yet. Yeah, is work sending you down there? Are you going to have to find a place of your own to stay, or is that going to be taken care of, or how's that going to go, Jamie? Oh, is that where you are, Matt? Alabama? I just realized you kind of alluded to that. Are you stopping in Alabama, Jamie? Well, speaking of Alabama, there's a few people in here that are in Alabama. One, another American guy married to a Filipino woman. That's how I met him, through a Filipino live stream. And he's ex-Army. He's, a matter of fact, part of the Army band, played tuba and other instruments. And he's quite the accomplished singer, professional singer, and recording artist, both here in the United States and Philippines. Um, his name is Kuya Joey, and the other guy from Alabama is a young guy. He's like 19 or 17. Aiden, he plays guitar, acoustic, and writes music. And he's at uh, Fort Benning. Fort Benning? No, 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 no. Where? What's that in? It's not a fort. It's in Alabama, a military base. Um, yeah, Matt, help me out. What am I thinking of? The place that this kid is from. It's near, not far from uh, the big recording capital there in Alabama. Oh, that's Tennessee. No, but he's in Alabama. What's the? No, not Maxwell's. Um, okay, never mind about Nashville. That's Tennessee. Uh, what he just told me just recently. I was live streaming the other night. He came in and he reminded me of where he's near. What the heck? Anyways, I introduced him to Kuya Joey, who's in Alabama. I forget the city Joey's in. But they hit it off because they're both in music. And no, not Gordon. Um, I'm going to say it starts with a P. What am I thinking of? Why is P stuck in my head? It's the name of the base. What am I thinking of? Am I confusing? Um, The heck? You know, most army bases are forts, but it's not fort. It's holy moly, what am I thinking of? I can't think. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It's like I'm seeing it, and it's like it's doing this. It's flashing, and yeah, Bennington, Georgia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but I got to get fort out of my head because it's not fort, but it's. I could swear this was a military base that I'm thinking of. I'm probably going to be wrong once I see the name, but it's. Is there any town starts with a P in Alabama? Where is a big music? Okay, here's what it might be. What is a big music city in Alabama? A lot of country singers have a lot of history. No, not Prattville. That's my clue. There's some big music history behind this place. The heck am I thinking of? What the heck? Ay, ay, ay. Where's Aiden? Where are you, Aiden? Come in here. Or where's Joey? He's probably asleep, I'm sure, but um oh, I want to say it's a compound. Like two words. Two words. I'm going to be wrong about this, but for some reason I'm seeing two words. The heck? What am I thinking of? Yeah, Joey educated this. Now Joey's like 50-ish and Aiden's only 17 or thereabouts. So he had a lot of knowledge to share with this young kid. And I remember him saying, you know, there's a lot of music history where you're from, or, and I can't remember the name of this place. What's it called? Um, Look up music history in Alabama. Google that for me. Music history in Alabama. And what comes up? What cities pop up? There's some famous country music artists. What is it? I got Matt's attention now. Alabama. Robbie, is the music? Oh, you just looked it up. Muscle Shoals. No, 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 no. Alabama, it's the music city. Yeah, look up. Is there another one? Keep going. How about military? Why am I not military in Alabama or army base? Muscle Shoals, Alabama, small town, produce big time music hits. Mm-mm. Oh, you were here. You were there, Robbie. Remember Kuya Joey? No, no, you were here with the guy from New York and you're asking about his pizza joint. By the way, Robbie, he's in Romania. Okay, Maxwell Air Force Base, Gunter Annex. Nope, nope. Okay, what am I thinking of? Why am I not thinking about this? Why am I? Oh my gosh. Starting to feel silly now. Oh, Fort McClellan. No, that's I know the forts are army, but then it isn't military. What in the world am I thinking of then? Um, just just to rule out. Um, okay, there's Rucker and various National Guard stations, right? Okay, so it's not. What about in just so that I can rule this one out? What about in Tennessee? God forbid I'm thinking Tennessee, but what about army bases in Tennessee? Are there any army bases in Tennessee? Maybe this city is the name of a song or something. Maybe that's what I'm confusing it with. It's a brain fart. Just totally drew a blank, huh? What in the world was he saying? What is the name? Tennessee Cavalry Engineer. Okay, nope, 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 nope. No, none of that. Okay. You're copying and pasting for me. Okay, get off the military kick. Look for music industry in Tennessee. Of course, you'll see Nashville. Is there any other place? Look up music industry, Tennessee. What in the world is the name of this? It's like two words. One of the words has a P in it. I could swear there's a P in it, but I'm going to be wrong. That reminds me of a sign in my girlfriend's at her dad's house. She had an outdoor pool, and there was a sign above the pool, and it says, um, "Welcome, welcome to our ool, OOL. Notice there is no P in it. Please keep it that way. Thank you." Rhyme, blues and jazz, Nashville, music cities, Nashville, Memphis. Yeah, artists like Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins. However, Nashville's large such with country and bluegrass. Okay, so the cities are Nashville and Memphis. What am I thinking of? Maybe it's Payne. Maybe that's Fort Payne. Isn't that Tennessee? I mean, Alabama. Maybe that's the P I'm thinking of. Did you say Payne was Alabama or Tennessee? I'm scrolling back. Sorry, I'm. Larry, where'd you go? Are you still there? Larry? Yeah, Fort Payne is Alabama. Maybe it's Payne. Fort Payne. Hmm. All right. Aiden, where are you when I need you? Oh, Alabama. Yeah, Fort Payne, Alabama. Well, maybe it is Fort Payne. Maybe that's where it seemed like there was something else, but maybe it's Fort Payne. I'm gonna be wrong, but I'm gonna just settle with that. Gosh, or I'm gonna go crazy. Well, thank you though, Robbie, for that research. That helps. You see, just a little bit of for your information. Because I'm using an Xbox and my television, the television. Oh, I didn't say anything about Horseshoe Bend. Did somebody else? Up? Did Robbie post something? I don't think so. I was saying my 60-inch TV is my monitor. You know, I'm not using a laptop. So, therefore, because of that, uh, this Windows format, this Microsoft Edge. Oh, have I heard of it? Sorry, sorry. Um, Battle of Horseshoe Bend. Yeah, you're working on my history background. That to do with have something to do with the American Indians. It sounds like one of those historic, or was that like Civil War era? Which one? I'm sorry. Is that a American Indian battle? I don't remember uh, the, uh, the names or the tribe. Was that Geronimo or I don't remember. Uh-oh, I'm starting to yawn. Ugh. Robbie, what are you up to this morning in Romania? Or is it afternoon there yet? Yeah, it's afternoon. Yeah, who were the um the occupants in the Battle of Horseshoe Bend? What is the word I'm looking for? See, I've got a brain fart again. You know, where um two people are fighting against each other. They are called um simple word and I can't think of it. Oh, you know what? My wife does the same thing, Matt. She's always telling me, go outside. You're too loud, or your phone is too bright. Is she saying that by any chance? It's like you're not even saying anything. You're just tip tapping on your phone, and your wife can tell you're up, and she starts turning and nudging you and telling you, "Why didn't you go outside? I got work tomorrow." Exactly what I do. Oh my goodness. Oh, holy moly. Oh, you know what? Maybe if I change the music, it's like I can only take so much elevator music. Here, I got a little more upbeat. Dun-dun-dun-dun. It's called rock. Here we go. I can't hear it. Where did it go? I hit play. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, wait. Oh, the volume on my headset was down a bit. There we go. Let me know if that's too loud. Yeah, that'll get me rocking. Horseshoe Bend was a battle between the Creek. Okay. Was it the Cree Indian? I think that's probably what you meant. And a group of soldiers led by Andrew Jackson. There you go. There you go. Um, what? Whoa, 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 whoa. Who are you asking, Matt? I'm sorry. You say it's a popular river for kayaking. What is a popular river for kayaking? Oh, you said creek. I know of the Cree Indians. I haven't heard of Creek Indians. Correct. Yeah, Matt. But I don't understand. You said Horseshoe Bend was a battle between the Creek Indians and a group of soldiers led by Andrew Jackson. So I was trying to understand that. Oh, Horseshoe Bend River. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, I didn't know that was the name of a river. I just thought maybe that was the name of a place. Gotcha, gotcha. Now, if kayaking kind of brings up a picture of, those rafting through whitewater, possibly, if that's what you're referring to, where my kayak is, it's a sit on top kayak, meaning it's got chairs, that are mounted on top of a platform. And it's a very stable kayak for that very purpose of fishing off of or out of. So it's not something, that capsizes very easily compared to a more sport type kayak or recreational, high high performance kayak. Or, for example, a lot of kayaks, sometimes people just go down rivers and tributaries, for recreational. Yeah, Horseshoe Bend was the place. Is there a river also? So I was saying there's other recreational kayaking, people just go down to float down and navigate, through the waterway. And if they need to portage or take their kayak out of the water to get over sections that are too shallow or, that disappear, um, they do that as well, where my kayak, it's so fully loaded, it weighs close to 300 pounds when, it's fully loaded, well, around 225, 250. And so I can't portage it or portage it across, pieces of land, um, very easily. I do have wheels that I do mount underneath it that enables me to transport it across land. Um, and that is an option. If I have to, I can do that. But more often than not, this size of a kayak, I actually trailer it and then I look for boat ramps to launch it off of. A lot easier that way than towing 250 pounds across the ground, with wheels underneath it. I do that as well when I can't access a body of water, by my car or by trailer. I put wheels underneath it, and transport it. But like I said, that's a lot of weight. I've got a lithium battery, a 15-pound lithium battery that drives my trolling motor and my electronics, and a pedal drive thing weighs about 15 pounds in itself, or 10 pounds, and then four rods and reels. Yeah, it's more of a boat than it is, what we picture as a kayak. But it's paddle powered, with a kayak paddle. So I've got all three. I've got a paddle, pedals, and a motor, an electric trolling motor, with a top speed of 4 miles per hour. So it enables you to, motor and so on. And then I got all my gear, my tackle box and my gear under my seat. And if I have a tandem, which is it's it's a tandem kayak, I'm solo in it most of the time, but I can take a passenger up front and he's got his own seat and his own paddle. But the pedals for him is occupied by the trolling motor. So he gets to stare at a trolling motor in front of him. And I operate it with a fob, like a key fob in the back that it hangs off my life vest, or my PFD as we call it.
and it steers right and left, forward, reverse, and it also is operated by GPS, where I can do hands-free, and a GPS keeps me in one spot. That's the latest high-speed. And I happen to have my fish finder unplugged here in the house, so that's the, whoops, kind of hard to see, but the typical fish finder, Garmin fish finder. So yes, it's a kayak, but I can stand in this kayak and fish. Matter of fact, most of my fishing is done standing. 90% of the time I'm on my feet. I sit down to rest and or, re-tie line and hooks and bait and so on. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty much done with the do-it-yourself modifications. Well, as much as possible, I guess would be the most accurate answer, truthful answer. I'm not working anymore. I haven't worked since 2008, so lots of free time, too much free time. And I just need a little bit of money to maintain the boat and the gear and the fishing stuff. And then I've got a local lake right back here, 2 miles from my house, on the college campus. It's a beautiful layout, college campus, where this, 100-acre, more than that, piece of land is covered in water. And it's a wildlife sanctuary as well, and it's open to fishing and kayaks out on the water. So, and I'm fishing for largemouth bass, freshwater. So yeah, I'm sorry. You asked earlier, what are my hobbies? Well, rock climbing came to an end when I came here to New Jersey, and I took up freshwater bass fishing from a anaerobic, intense anaerobic sport to a non-anaerobic activity, extremely non-anaerobic activity, and gained 15, 20 pounds in the process. As a matter of fact, I recently got back on the saddle, in the saddle, as they say, and I started trying to get my weight back down to rock climbing weight, and I'm having a tough time staying physically or supplementing that with physical activity as much as rock climbing requires. It's kind of hard to duplicate that when you don't have any place to go climbing at. There's indoor rock climbing gyms, but that's an hour north. And so it's like I got to make the commitment to, drive that 2 hours to and back and forth, and squeeze in, a couple hours inside the gym and do some indoor rock climbing. So I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still struggling with my 8 years of downtime, sedentary downtime, and trying to get back to anywhere close to where I was when I was 53 years old, when I left the sport. I'm back down to weight though. I went from 180 down to 168 right now. I'm trying to get back to 165. And I'm maintaining about 168 right now. So I'm able to throw my body around a little more than I was when I was at 180. Lake Martin, Alabama's best kept secret. Ooh, don't get me started, Matt. Oh my goodness. You see, here I got a map here. Speaking of, let me see. What states does this incorporate? Kentucky and Tennessee state line. Kentucky Lake. Up. Can you read that? Oh, that's the background. I'll have to back up here. Kentucky Lake. I ordered a map from Amazon, and this covers a giant lake. You've probably heard about it. It's got a lot of history behind it here. Big giant map. Oh, it's hard to see because of the background. But it incorporates, Kentucky and Tennessee. It's a man-made, dammed up part of the country that formed this giant reservoir. But I just went down to Florida to visit my daughter and towed the trailer and the kayak and went fishing down there. I didn't have very much luck in the state of Florida, big bass country down there, but I didn't get to spend enough time to find any hot spots. So, unfortunately. But just visiting her and the grandkids was awesome. And I got to fish with my grandson, and wow. Well, I was going to say part of my story about this Xbox is, even though it is Windows operating system, and I can open multiple tabs. For instance, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tabs open right now. You know, everything from Gmail to Google Translate. But I can't minimize and create windows and drag them over to the left and put multiple windows open. I can't do that on this. It's very, very minimal what this Xbox, the memory that this Xbox has. It's little to none. At least this Xbox One. It's a gaming console, not a laptop or a computer. And so if I Google something, I have to open up another tab. I got to go to that tab, and it'll close this tab. You know, I can't keep it open and just drag it over to the left. And when I do that, 50% of the time it'll keep this StreamYard, this live stream platform open, but 50% of the time it closes it. Or it doesn't close it, it just kind of, closes it. And so when I go back to the tab, I'm kicked out of StreamYard and I got to go through the process of coming back on. It doesn't end the live stream, but it drops me off the stage and then I disappear. And everybody in chat is like, where'd he go? I'm like, unless I have a phone, which my wife has it, she's using it as her alarm, and my son has one and he's asleep. But if I had a phone in my hand, I can go to my live stream and or use the browser on my phone and do my search on my phone. That's the best option. Now, if I was on a laptop, then I wouldn't have this problem. But anyways, so I'll have to check it out later. Lake Martin, that should be easy because the popular bass fishing icon is Roland Martin. That's his dad, and his son, he's got his own channel. What's his name? Scott Martin. So I should be able to remember Lake Martin. That's not named after them, is it? Probably not. But the lake's been around longer than they have. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. You know what? I'm gonna I'll still be available on voice. I'm gonna stop my camera, but I can still hear the music and you can still hear my voice. There we go. Sorry, I had my microphone down around my chin, under my chin, and I'm gonna Google it here. Let me do that. If I disappear, I'll be right back because I am all about taking road trips, and it gives me an excuse to get the heck out of here, get off my butt. That's why I drove down to Florida here in the recent past, Lake Martin, Alabama. I can still hear the music, so I know my audio's still working. Lake Martin Reservoir. Oh my goodness, look at that rock formation. Whoa, dude. My lord. Look at Wind Creek State Park, Alexander City, Jackson's Gap, Dadeville, Kellyton. Hold on, I'm clicking on the map here. Let me see where we are. It looks just like Kentucky Lake. It's got that little broken fingers branching off of it. Sorry about that. Check, check, check. I told you. It dropped me. Make sure I got audio. Yep, I got audio. Cool. So yeah, I saw it. Pretty cool. It looks like Kentucky Lake there in Kentucky and Tennessee. Alexander City. Yeah, I just saw that. Awesome, man. Magandang umaga. Ikaw, ikaw din, uh, Harumi. I did. Sorry about that. You could hear my voice there for 50% of the time, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. I went up. It just dropped me. Harumi, are you Filipino or Japanese? I asked you that before. I know you're in Japan. Are you Filipino? With a name like Harumi, that's not a Filipino name. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Can't believe I'm still up. I converted my hours back to normal time. And then today, for some reason, even though I got a good night's sleep until 6
o'clock in the morning. I got really tired this afternoon. I mean, that I need some sleep type tired, and it was unexpected. Oh, you're now, you didn't answer my question. Are you Filipina? What's ikanag oh my gosh, what a long word. Ikanagagalak kitang makilala? Makilala ka. I wait, ikana ikanagagalak ikanagagalak kitang makilala. Oh my gulay, what in the world is that word? I don't know that word. What is that? You have to educate me, Harumi. Yeah, help me, affectionate. Did I say it? Did I butcher it? Ikanagagalak? Ikanagagalak. Ikanagagalak kitang makilala. What in the world is that? Help me out. It's something to do with love. Kita. Teach me. Come on, Harumi. Oh, I am happy to see you? Really? Seriously? That's in Tagalog? Now, do you have to put ka on the end of that? All right, Matt. Yeah, you too. Gosh, thanks for Martin Lake and sharing your military background with me. And yeah, pleasure. Thanks for staying in the chat room for as long as you did. That really helps my watch hours. Um, yeah, in other words, people viewing my channel. It's like if you stayed in here an hour, chatting with me, it's the same as watching a video for 1 hour. So the live streaming, I'm stuttering. Live streaming is a way of getting people to watch your content. If you can, if you get 5 people in here staying for 3 hours, then there's 15 hours of watch time. Yeah. And so anyways, yeah, live streaming is used for different things, not only to entertain, but for the user, for the content maker, it gives him an opportunity to like catch up on some requirements that he needs in order to stay monetized as a monetized channel, which I am not yet, and so I'm working on that. I have enough subscribers. I just need watch hours now. So, but at the same time, I enjoy doing this, and it's fun to pass time and meet new people and talk about different things. So, thank you again. Awesome. As you were, brother. People ask me that all the time, and I need to get on one. But for now, I'm just going to say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I want to be back on a normal human being schedule, but lately I've been doing it like around midnight, 11:30 midnight, and then to be determined is the end time. This time I've been on 3 hours and 37 minutes. So I ended up getting on around 2:30, right? Yeah, 2:30. Yeah, about 2:30, which is later than normal, but yeah, and I instead of Friday night doing this, I came on well, technically Friday, but I was planning on getting back on tonight, you know, later, like midnight. And I might do it, but I got bored, so I came on. So, hey, Matt, if you didn't already, hit the thumbs up. That helps also. You subscribed already. And you know the bell icon, if you didn't already, that alerts you if you didn't already know this, that I am on again. It'll light up red and say you have a notification. And you'll know that, when you click on it, you'll see Doc MacKay is live or whatever. Or if I post a new video, you'll get notified by hitting the bell icon. Thank you, Matt, again. Perfect. Yeah, nice to meet you. And another military vet. See you, Matt. Thank you again. As you were. And thank God for the Army. We got to take advantage of some of their uh, high-speed, good-to-go amenities, such as their showers there at the end of my deployment. That was a godsend. So, hoorah for the Army, or hooah, as you guys say. Well, you know what? I'm going to get ready to take my Asawa, my wife, to work at 6:30. So I'm going to head out like an infant, and maybe I'll be back tonight. So look for me, and we'll go from there. Thank you, girl, for hanging out. Matt, of course, you're gone. Affectionate butterfly. Harumi, magan salama. I mean, yeah. Walang anuman, walay sapayan, why sapayan, etc., etc. All the rest of you guys, if there's anybody else, Robbie, if you're out there, thanks, bro. I'll keep working on our dilemma. See ya. As you were, ladies and gentlemen. Hasta la vista, baby.